What's up, guys? So I'm making this video to show you guys how to when you get real skin or any type of fake skin, they have to put an oil on it to keep it lubricated, which if you try and maneuver anything, put a stencil on or use a pen or anything like that, that oil is going to inhibit the transfer. So I'm just going to show you real quick. This is what I do on my real skin. So in here I just have 70% green alcohol. This is what I use. You can use anything to clean it up. I'll just spray it, kind of let it sit right there for a minute, and then you want to make sure that you kind of get it all on the edges if you're going to be using the fake skin to that edge. I just do it just to keep them all clean all in one shot. And then just pull it to you, kind of practice a stretch. And then see, the alcohol will not get it all the way. So then I just take any type of baby powder and you just put a little bit on there. It'll help with the absorbing and removal of that oil, because the alcohol is supposed to dry it out. Like, help start the process. And then the powder is going to try and get in a little bit deeper. Now, if you know me, I have a phobia of things, so I just take the powder and just make sure I cover the entire top of the surface all the way to the edges, and just do small circles around it. And when you push it in, you kind of want to give it a little bit of stretch so that it'll get down a little bit deeper. And then I'll just use the alcohol rag just to get the excess powder off. And then I'm gonna get the stencil stuff. Recommended you can use speed stick, deodorant, just for $1, the cheap stuff. Fake skin it doesn't have the pores like normal skin, so it's not going to absorb as well, so that's why I put the powder on here to help dry it up. So today I'm going to be doing this stencil for the line work, for transfer, for everything, just to show you guys kind of a little bit of help. So I normally don't touch the tip. Just with this stuff, stencil stuff, since the fake skin does not have pores in it, it's gonna just sit on top. So you only need a little tiny amount. And when I apply it, I just go a little bit bigger than the actual image, which when I shook it, there was a lot that came out. So then I try not to use as many paper towels, so I'll just lay it on there, kind of press on it, pull it up, and then just check and see. There is a little bit of shine to it, so I just rub it in a little bit better, just to try and get that to go away. And then you can pre-mark it. You can just put it on with this fake skin. I'm just gonna put it on. There's really no special way to do it. Just add a little bit of pressure to it. even out any of the hard parts. And see, you just slowly peel it back. Just so that you can see if there's any missed spots, you can just relay it in a short amount of movement instead of pull the whole thing off and then try to relay it again. Now with this real skin, I would recommend you could use a blow dryer, a heat gun. You could use something to speed up the process of this. It's a coffin, it's simple. This one's more to show you guys how I do my line work, how I hold everything. And these, my tubes are already open. My cart is already open because this is my practice, my whole practice. Needles, my fake skin, everything. So, since it is fake skin, I have put my machine to just a little bit lower on the voltage, and I'm just going to just take it a little bit easier. Fake skin replicates real skin, but it's a lot softer. So if your machine is way too high, you can slice the skin, and you don't want that to be a normal practice. Okay, I can show you my current tray setup. It's pretty easy. I can actually send a picture of it, of what it was before. So with this being a video setup, I would just put a dental dam or dental bib down. Sorry, don't laugh. And then I'll just tape this. So in this meantime, I'm kind of setting up as it's drying a little bit. It's not going to dry 100% normally for a good stick. I leave the stencil on like for about an hour, 2 hours. I've left some on for overnight, and that's horrible because then the stencil, if you don't get it off, it won't come off. So I just tape this down just so it doesn't move around. You can use masking tape, duct tape, whatever. I just use painter's tape. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. I got my machine all set up, ready to go. I got ink out. I use individual packaged A&D ointment. You can buy them, I think, from Amazon or so. And I open these up, and I'll just put a little bit, depending on my size of design I'm gonna do. Because as long as you don't leave that on a tray and have it get any type of contact, you can I can use that again. So got my machine set up right now. I'm gonna be I have an 11 round liner, and I got it at 7 volts. This is an Ambition Soldier with a 38 millimeter disposable grip, and then this is a Killer Bee tattoo cartridge with an 11 in it. Okay, I'll just show you kind of what I do, and I'll tell you as I go. So I will actually take a very, very thin layer. I mean, barely enough to show. That's why I said just a little bit, because I use it very sparingly. And I kind of just hover over the stencil because I do not want it to smear just like it did. Okay, well, in that case, just gotta hurry. So I dip it. Now for me, I keep half a paper towel torn up, and when I'm doing the line work, it's dry. So as I'm doing this, let me try and zoom in a little bit. All right, there we go. A little bit better. So best thing you want to do is not go over your stencil with your hand. What you want to do is you want to start on the area from bottom right to top left, just so that you can make sure that you get everything in nice and easy. So when I hold my machine, I hold it with these two fingers. This my middle finger is either on the side or right here. If you plug that hole, the breather hole for the cartridge, it'll spit ink everywhere. And I like to try and do my lines in their entirety from one intersection to the next. This one it's smudged, so it might be a little funky. So I would do a stretch like this. I push away with my right hand and then take these two fingers, index and thumb, and I hold it up at about 80 degrees, and then you can hear it change when you get into the right depth. Okay, and you see the extra splatter that's on there? Do not apply pressure. If you apply pressure, it's going to smudge. So that's why I use the A&D ointment, because then it gives you a barrier between the stencil and the ink. The excess ink will sit on top. And then I just get a little bit more ink in the cartridge. Like I said, you got to tread softly until this stencil's done, and then I can go back. And we're going to do this line as well. You can hear that change. Okay. Then you just dab it, and there's a little bit that I started on where it just needs another touch up. Now when you start a line that's already been done, you want to do a taper in. So you want to slowly go in, make contact, and then swoop in. Then you do your line, and then you taper out. So we have this one right next to it. Okay, and I can speed this up if you guys want. I'm just kind of trying to show you how I hold the angle of it. And then I listen and I feel the machine. And I do not ride the tube. If you ride the tube, basically you have your needle in, so that when you're going to get to the proper depth, the tip is actually touching the skin, and it'll just pull all the ink out. Okay, so I'm just slowly making this. You can dab it, and you can use the same rag. I'm planning to use probably two towels at most. And you can do this a little bit lighter. With fake skin, I don't really focus on the stretch just because of the chance of it smearing. But also, if it's in a different area of the fake skin, then you can access both. Kind of get a good feel for it. And see, every time my needle hits the skin, you can hear the change. The machine it has more of a hum instead of a free moving motor. And I just listen for that hum. I don't want to bury it. Okay, so it's coming out pretty good. I have to go back and fix some of the starter lines I did, but I did them a little bit more light. There we go. Okay, got the cross, and then I'll clean this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, now that the stencil's outlined and done, now I can grab my distilled water, spray it, and then this is where I'm just gonna try and pull off any excess carbon from the stencil. Okay, so normally I would do this with a little bit lighter of a liner, or I could do it with a lighter, like a smaller liner, or a lighter gray water or ink. See, I just didn't want to smudge that stencil. So now that we have the basic idea and the lines are there, now I can just kind of since it's already doubled up, I will slow my machine down to about 6. Like I said, fake skin is different than real skin. So now is where I can stretch it a little bit better. And see, then I just take a little tiny bit more of A&D on the end and just spread it out. That extra layer really helps. The goal is to do it in a one-time pass, but I didn't let the stencil stay on long enough, and it was falling apart, so that's my bad. Like I said, you could use a heat gun or something, which I did not have at the moment. So since you've already opened it up, you don't want to keep going over it and over it and over it again. You want it to be done right the first time, ideally, but if not, second time would be best. So, like I said, I just hold my machine. I'll probably show you a little bit more on the hand. So I hold my machine like this. I change it all the time though. I don't just stay with one style. Okay, there we go. It's looking better. Looking a little bit better. I try to pull my lines straight or curved, I try to pull them towards me instead of trying to push them. I can show you what pushing a line does, and it doesn't look too well because you're not pulling it towards you and being more sturdy. You're more pushing it to the limits of your fingers, your hand. So I'll push this one and kind of show you. Small lines can be done, but I don't really like to on the big ones, because the chance of getting a little shaky or hitting your limit, and then see, look, you're changing the whole angle of the machine. Instead of holding that at a nice good angle, you're going to actually extend it, and then you could have a much thicker line, a lot lighter line, and so that's when you would taper in and then taper out. And see, I don't want to cover that hole. And then just do one line at a time. Also, I want to say, you got to focus on your hand speed, because the slower you go and the more you try and focus, you're going to hit your limit and you're going to start to shake. If you try and do it in a nice, smooth, good, even speed, your line will be more stable. If you pull a line and it's not working, like it's still too light or it's spotty, that's when you can take your machine and put it back up to a 7, and then you know you can go just a little bit faster on your hand. If this was normal skin, I'd be running at about 7.5 to 8. See, and then I just tapered out right there. And you can see the difference between this line and this line down here. It's just not as bold. So then I'm going to taper in and just and you can hear the sound of it tapering in. It's a gradual change instead of just hopping right into it. Okay, a couple more lines, and then we can switch it up. Okay. So now, if I wanted to clean it up, you could take just a little bit more, probably double of what you had on the jelly, and just spread it all out nice and thin, hit the edges, cover all the lines, and you don't want to go too much because then it's just more of a mess. So then this is when I grab another paper towel and I pull off. I don't want this to smear over here on the good skin. I'd rather have it come off of here on the bib. Okay. That's what it is, guys. It's not perfect, but I'm just trying to show you kind of more my angle. So, okay, I'll switch things up and get it ready for another one.